Wave after wave.
Wave after wave. Wave after wave. Wave after... You're not trying to sensationalize this at all, are you? Oh, no. Wave after wave. Wave after... What are you talking about? Locusts? Wave after wave. Listen to the language these people use. Wave after wave. Pause. You're not trying to make everyone feel afraid, are you? You're not trying to make this seem like it's happening everywhere and it's unstoppable and it's just coming. Oh, no. Wave after wave.
As violence descended.
So over the course of this video, I want you to notice the huge percentage of these videos of violence and confrontations, okay, is somebody who probably works for the government dressed up like a rioter pointing at somebody who works for the government dressed up like a riot police person, and they'll be like this, you know, like looking as violent and crazy as they can, but not actually do anything, you know, and they'll come up to someone dressed in a riot police outfit and they'll be like, like that. Watch how many times that pantomime plays out. And when you're looking for it, you're just like, oh, this is all you'll show me footage of.
Scenes across the country now at risk of becoming normalised. Among the worst, Liverpool, parts of it set on fire, including a library.
But, right, that's not a library. That is a bin outside a library.
The morning after, and the city still smoulders.
Well, a bin in the city that you set on fire smoulders. Look, I don't doubt that these people are not above setting fire to an actual library. You know, but just to make my position on this clear, I think all of this stuff is orchestrated. I don't think the news is actually an organised... This is not how the news works, okay? The news isn't an organisation of people who sit there in a room with their detective skills ready to discern what's going on in the country and then reporting it, okay? That is like a child's interpretation of the news at this point, okay? The news is a group of people that work for the government and they own the space of telling you what's happening in the country, and they sit there and they get their scripts and they read them out and they tell you what you're supposed to think and how you're supposed to feel. And at the moment, you're supposed to feel either racist or afraid or violent or outraged about the racism and the violence or the fear surrounding the violence. Basically, just everything's being stoked into this big furnace of fear and anger and wrath and, you know, everything that's sinful. And I don't believe that any of these things are organic. You know, the riots just didn't break out, you know. This killing of children didn't just happen randomly and now they're reacting to it. All of this stuff is planned. All of this stuff is orchestrated. I don't believe a single second of it. It's just they're playing your emotions like this. You know, that's what's actually happening. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you what the point of all this is. You know, again, it's problem, reaction, solution. You know, the problem is people are rioting. They've probably orchestrated that, okay? The reaction is, whoa, we've got to make people safe, right? And guess what the solution is? Guess what it is? I'll tell you what it is. Your freedoms are being reduced. We're going to start recording you everywhere. We're going to start stopping you from being able to get on trains if we say that you're a far-right terrorist, which, by the way, is something that they say about me. And it's something that they're going to say about all Christians soon, probably, that you're all far-right terrorists, you know, because you won't dress up in a rainbow flag, put a pair of rainbow sunglasses on, and start licking other people's private parts in the streets. That's where it's going. Anyway.
Disgusting.
It's a reason for violence. It's certainly not in my name.
Oh, yes. I can't wait to hear what crisis actors say about the situation with really obvious Liverpool accents installed into their software. I can't wait. Do you honestly think the people that run these big news companies care about what people that look like this on the streets of Liverpool think about anything? Really? You really think they're like, quick, let's get the views of these two overweight people that look like they play bingo every evening and just let's get that on the national news? No. No, it's all set up to give you the narrative out of the mouth of the common person.
Nazis burn books. These have gone one step further and burnt a library down.
I'll 100% guarantee you that's on a script somewhere. She didn't just come up with that. She didn't just come up with that. You know, the people that orchestrate the news and trying to manipulate your emotions, it's like, right, have somebody in a Liverpool accent be like, Nazis burned down books and he's gone one step further, burned down a library. You know, like, oh, this is what the common man thinks. All the people on the street think. Yeah, right, sure.
Protests, yeah, but not actually going around damaging things. That's not going to work. It's just going to get you in a lot of trouble.
Do you know what else is not going to work? Do you know what's going to work anymore? Okay? Is having the narrative that you want everyone to think and just hiring some sort of crisis actor to stand in the street and put on a really sort of comical accent and tell us what the news director wants us to think that regular people think about the situation. You know what I mean? Let me ask you a question. People that still think this sort of thing is real. So the fabrication that you're being given is that a bunch of Taylor Swift fans were killed, were knifed to death by somebody from Rwanda who's obviously an immigrant, that they gaslight you by telling you he's from Wales. He's a Welshman. You know what I mean? It's like an 18-year-old from Rwanda, you know, whose name's probably like Yusuf Al-Nasir Hussein Mohammed, and they gaslight you by being like, he's Welsh, you know? Right? But I doubt the whole thing's even real, to be honest with you. I'm not getting involved in like, oh, they say that he's Welsh, but his name's Al-Nadir Al-Hussein Mohammed. They do this kind of stuff on purpose just to get you angry. You know, just to get you like, they're bringing in all the Muslims and they're called Mohammed and they're saying they're Welsh and they're knifing kids. It's designed to get you annoyed and perhaps get some of you foolish enough to actually go onto the streets and try and protest or riot about the stuff that they're doing to you, and then provoking you to react, and then they get to do horrible things to you, like put you in jail or whatever. Anyway, that's the whole point of it. But I tell you what's not going to work, right, is keep doing this. You know what I mean? They keep doing this. So they provoke you, and then they get somebody that they think looks like you and sounds like you, and they get them to just go like, oh, well, I completely hate, you know, the response to this. You know what I mean? Oh, I just think that anyone who's against immigration and anyone who's against our cities being just turned unsafe and just being turned into places which you just don't recognize anymore and just turning them into slums, and you sort of, it is really unsafe. When you bring people from all over the world and you just throw them into London and none of them speak English and half of them are from Somalia, half of them are from Uzbekistan or whatever, you know, and they're knifing people and there's crime. Yeah, it's a recipe to destroy a city and to destroy a country. And it is being done on purpose. I'm not suggesting that, you know, our town centres aren't being destroyed and ruined by massive, unchecked, uncontrolled immigration. But the same people that are doing it, the same people that are orchestrating it, are the people that are organising the response to it. You know what I mean? It's like they are destroying our countries and our cities on purpose, and then they're trying to wind you up about it. And they just want human beings to hate each other, is the best way that I can articulate it to you. So what you need to do is sort of see that for what it is and rise above it and turn off the news, you know, and then they can have their little pantomime of a riot. And I'll show you some of the footage. It's really laughable. But anyway, the question I was going to ask you. So the orchestrated narrative is all these kids have been knifed to death. There's little white kids like Taylor Swift. They've been knifed to death by Mohammed from Rwanda, who's from Wales. You know, so they get everyone annoyed. And then the people responding to that, you know, and by responding to that, what they've done is they burnt down a library. Why would you burn down a children's library? Why, in response to that, even if you were angry enough to go out and riot, would you burn down a children's library? You know, it just automatically makes people think like, oh, well, that's just horrible, burning down a children's library. Right? But they can't even go the whole way and actually burn down the library in order to get their footage. They just burn down a wheelie bin outside the library and push it into the entrance of the library or something. Okay? Of course you wouldn't burn down a library. It's just done to make everyone on both sides annoyed. You know, if you think there's too much immigration, you're annoyed that all these Taylor Swift 10-year-olds have been knifed to death by somebody called Mohammed from Rwanda. And, you know, if you're on the other side and you think we should have as much immigration as possible because we just want to be really, really nice, and the town centres aren't dangerous enough already, just bring in more serial killers and rapists. Don't check if they're serial killers or rapists. Just bring them in. But if you're on that side, you're really annoyed because it's like, well, the other side, in response to that, they've burnt down a library. And anyway, the guy was from Wales. You know, it's just designed to make everyone hate each other. And it's really obvious to me.
Disorders swept across the UK in the wake of the Southport knife attacks.
You see what I mean? How they can't be bothered to go the whole way and actually wreck a city. It's just like the stuff they're describing is so, it's all clown world. You know, they describe like devastation across the streets, the whole town's on fire. Then they show you a picture of like the amount of devastated, burnt rubbish that would fit in like a Sainsbury's bag for life. Yeah, and you're just like, wait a minute, you know, like everything on the news is a lie. They sort of describe this apocalyptic scenario, you know what I mean? And then they just show you like 2.5 pounds of rubbish, and you're just like, wait a minute, what?
Catalysed by disinformation online.
There's a differential between what happened on Tuesday in Southport and what happened here. Definitely on Tuesday there were people bussed in from all over the country because we know that, because we see the travel patterns. This was more about local youths being stirred up by social media, by that communication of everybody, let's get together and all that.
I want you to take careful note of the narrative that's being seeded here. Then they sort of bring in the local politician who's such a good guy, and he's just there to stop libraries being burned down because he really cares, you know. And what are they saying here? They're saying, well, we know that's what's happened is we've looked at the travel patterns. What do you mean you've looked at the travel patterns? You've looked at the fact that buses and trains come into Southport. Don't they always do that? You know what I mean? But it's like when and people are being whipped up online, and also people are traveling, you know. So when they come to what they want to happen from this, it's like, well, I guess we've got to stop people from traveling, and we've got to stop people from talking online, and we've got to prevent these crimes before they even happen. So I guess, you know, we just got to start just arresting people if we say that they're bad people. You just got to believe us.
In Bristol, counter-protesters outnumbered far-right groups, with tension spilling into violence. As volunteers cleaned up, Shabam, a refugee living here since 2000, described his fear.
We always got the fear constantly in the back of our head of, are we going to get attacked? Are we welcome here? Should we be hanging out in this park? Should we be going to this neighborhood? So, you know, we really need, you know, a bit more police presence.
Oh, isn't that convenient? Here's a nice, lovely Shabam standing in front of a "We Hate Nazis" sign, just cleaning up rubbish. He's such a good guy. He's cleaning up the rubbish that the horrible protesters left. And if only we could just have an increased police presence on the streets and start facially recording people with facial recognition cameras. And we can have little drones flying around the streets recording everything you do. And you won't be allowed to leave the house. And we'll tell you whether you get on a train or not. If only we could get that. I'm Shabam. And I'm just clearing up the street, and I don't like Nazis. And the world is so simple that there's horrible Nazis, and I'm little Shabam. And if you think that little old Shabam is good and Nazis are bad, then we just need an increased police presence and drones flying everywhere, recording everyone. Please install this.
It doesn't matter where you've come from, you are welcome here.
Okay. I have come from a maximum security prison where I have just escaped because I'm a cannibal that murders children and eats them. Am I welcome here? Under your ideology, yes, I am. You know what I mean? It's like, I realize that the whole narrative is made up, okay? But these people really exist. There is a level of naivety that exists where it's just like, everyone is welcome here. Everyone is welcome here because I am so good that I will welcome everyone. Lady, I am a father of 2 children. Everyone is not welcome into my house because out there are murderers and rapists and sex offenders, okay? Likewise, the country that I live in, I don't want anyone to just come here, okay, and start murdering people with machetes at Taylor Swift concerts. I know that probably didn't happen, but I'm just going with a hypothetical here. You know, there is just this idea that what you do is you just switch off your common sense and any idea of safety, and you switch off the fact that certain cultures don't mix. You know, certain cultures do not mix. Like, for example, people that want to live under Sharia law, people that think that gay people should be thrown off a building, okay? They are not, you're welcome here, come here. And what are you going to do, lady, if you have this sort of attitude, is you're just going to be run over by the evil people in the world. You know, I'm a Christian. Okay? I'm all about turn the other cheek, etc., etc. But that doesn't mean that I have to be, you know, a dummy. That doesn't mean that I have to be like, rapist, you're welcome here in my house with my children. You know what I'm saying? Like, they try and pretend like these people, that people are angry because there's brown people in the country. People are angry because, according to the news, a bunch of like 10-year-old girls were stabbed to death by somebody from Rwanda with a machete. Why are you turning it into like, oh, you just don't like brown people? That's not what this protest is supposed to be about. It's about, hey, people are being allowed into this country that are murdering our children. You know? It's not about we don't like browns.
But the thing that warms my heart is seeing all the people who came out to stop that racist thuggery happen and stood in the way.
But the risk is more of the same.
What the new Labour government does not need right now are more weeks of this, a summer of discontent reminiscent of the 2011 riots. Their plan right now is to disincentivise troublemakers.
Here you go. Here's what the whole thing is for. Okay? Here's what the whole thing is for. Here's what the whole plan is. Here's why, in my opinion, I predict more riots. These things are going to continue, and it's going to be like, hey, we got this big old problem, and the problem's getting worse, and I guess what we're going to have to do is bring in facial recognition software on the streets everywhere. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to do this. This wasn't part of the plan. I mean, it's ready to go. We're going to roll it out immediately. But nobody wanted there to be facial recognition software everywhere and for there to be travel restrictions put on you if we say that we need to. Nobody wanted your civil liberties and your freedoms to be reduced. Nobody wanted that. But this thing has happened. These series of events have happened, and we're just reacting to them.
Crime is crime. And so to that end, I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder. These thugs are mobile, they move from community to community, and we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. That is the single most important duty of government. Service rests on security, and we will take all necessary action to keep our streets safe.
There you go. The problem is the streets aren't safe. The reaction is we have to make the streets safe. You all agree with that. Look, they're burning down libraries, and poor old Shabam is just trying to clean up the rubbish. So what's the reaction? Well, the reaction is we need to start reducing your freedoms. We need to start stopping you from getting on trains if we say that you can't get on a train. We're only going to do this to football hooligans. We're only going to do this to far-right protesters. Don't worry. Oh, also, we're just going to start recording your face everywhere on the street with cameras. Okay? Look at the riots that we probably orchestrated. You understand? Dude, it's so boring. And if you don't watch the news, like I'm doing comedy shows last weekend in Nottingham, people are like, oh, look out for the riots. I'm like, shut up. Oh, are we safe? Shut up. I didn't see anything. No one ever does. You know, if you don't watch the news, if you don't have Twitter on, you don't realize that there's this big crisis of safety anyway. You just go about your day. Anyway, what do you guys think? I'm sure there's loads of you who are like, oh no, they're real riots and everything's real and nothing's made up. Okay, sure, fine. What do you guys think? Let me know. Support the channel. Link in description. You know, there's very few people like me who are bothered to say anything like this anymore. And if you don't support the channel, there won't be anyone. Okay? See ya.